It's another story that must be told, ladies and gentlemen. Every time we have a fight at our borders, we always look at and remember and think of our martyrs. Oftentimes, we don't look within. We have lost more soldiers in our internal security issues, fighting within our borders over the last many decades. And that body count is huge. And that body count was because of Red Terror. Here comes another movie from those people who seem to have made it a business of making movies nobody else would make. And perhaps in that manner, they've also become perhaps a trinity, if I may say, an actor, a filmmaker, a director, and of course the producer. So all of them coming together. And every time they pick up subjects, that push the entire, barrier, if I may say, or the push the line and go to that place where normally filmmakers would not want to trudge upon. So it's great to have them back here at CNN News 18, but in our new studios, in our new facilities, exactly about 9 months down the line. So Dipto Sen, Adah Sharma and Vipul Shah, Namaste, Jai Hind, thank you very much. And this time around, wow, that look is fantastic, Adah. and you look from Kerala stories to now we're talking Bastar. And in between a commando, you've really decided that I want to become the true hunter wali of this age.
Why not? But they're all different kinds of action. I think Commando is more of that larger than life superhero space. This is very realistic and hard hitting. But I enjoy action, all kinds. This is really real, like realistic. So
let me ask you, from Kerala to moving to these areas of Red Terror, that is Bastar, Dantewada, so this Chhattisgarh, Marathwada, that region altogether, how different was this subject?
Well, in Kerala, in Kerala I'm playing a victim, and in this I'm a warrior, I'm a savior, I'm leading war. So it was really cool, I think, of Vipul sir and Sudipto sir to cast me, the same person who in their previous film was a victim who was petrified, scared. I'm this innocent college girl who doesn't know what's happening with her. Here I'm in charge, I'm giving people commands and getting things done, and I really enjoyed it. For an actor,
it's a totally different body language.
Yes, totally.
It's a totally different body language.
Yes.
But then what for you was the essence of the story?
Again, it's like putting a truth forward, and with the Kerala story I realized there is an audience who likes to watch stories like this. I mean, it was the whole country. If it had so many people watching it, and the whole, it released on OTT 9 months after the release in theatres, and it still was #1 on the OTT platform when it released, and it made it broke all those records even on OTT. So I just thought that I'd owe it to that audience to give them another film, and I don't want to repeat the same thing and do the same role again. It's so nice to be someone else, different body language, different body also, different face, another person, and another very important story to tell. It's also a story about our country that I didn't know has happened, because we live in cities and it's not happening to us in our city here.
So you didn't know about it?
I didn't know about it, no. I didn't know. I have friends also and we were like, Bastar, what is Bastar? Like Bastar. Naxal, you've heard of Naxalites and everything, that we know. But I didn't know all about this. And I guess when I get into a project, then I obsessively read about it and learn about it. And
so when you read about it, what did you think?
I think it's terrifying. There are so many incidents happening, like the tribal woman in our movie. Her husband was cut up into pieces because he hoisted the Indian flag at a school function. Just for hoisting your flag in your own country, you're chopped up into pieces in front of his child and the mother. Sudipto sir met the actual woman and he has a video of her, and also stories like that. And these people are oppressed by a system that is corrupt and very, very, very powerful. So even over here we are fighting against people who are so powerful, and there's such an imbalance in the power, such an imbalance in things. So I thought it's a story that's nice that we can give a voice to.
Now to the person who dives into the research, let me ask you, the story reference of 76 CRPF personnel goes back to 2010. We are in 2024. That Red Terror corridor is shrinking. What's the point of making the movie today?
See, I started the whole ideology, that imported ideology called communism, which has come from China and Russia. this imported ideology started. That is their the armed struggle part started in 1967 in Naxal, and I was born in 1968, just next to Naxal place called Jalpaiguri. So I grew up along with the evolution of the revolutionary peasant movement or the armed struggle part of Maoist movement. So I saw this movement, really building up, getting the foundation in this country. In 2005, a very interesting happened that against this leftist terror, first time a people's movement were built up. The local tribal who were dejected, frustrated with this continuous terror and atrocities of the Maoists, they decided to come together and make a tribal way of protesting called Salva Judum, which means peace march. So I discussed with Bipulji when we decided to make a film, and we collectively decided that this is the phase which is not only important for Bastar but also important for Indian history, Indian politics, Indian sociology, where first time tribals stood against this Maoist terror, and they failed, though they failed, but they left a important milestone for our history. So we picked up that phase and made this film.
Now, very interesting part that he said that there are urban intellectuals who are actually funding this and who are actually fueling this. So aren't you worried those urban intellectuals will come after you, because those urban intellectuals still exist?
They do. And they are more dangerous actually, in my opinion, than the actually gun-wielding Naxals, because they are bright minds and sitting in the cities using the legal loopholes and the constitutional protections that is available to them. They are actually sitting in our society and trying to break our country, change the entire democratic setup. They want a one-party, single-party dictatorship to be employed in India as a political dispensation, and that to me is an extremely worrying point, because we can agree that democracy always has its own problem. Nothing is ever 100% perfect in democracy, but that's still better than the idea of a single party dictatorship. In the research, what I read, see, 76 Jawans were martyred, we all know. JNU celebrated on that particular occasion, we all know. But in the research, I read an article where a 4-month-old baby was hit with an iron rod and killed.
Yeah.
I read something to the effect of 8 babies were snatched from their mothers and thrown into the burning fire and burned alive. Then there are multiple episodes of 52 Jawan being martyred, 36 Jawan being martyred, 10 policemen, 8. It's like relentless violence. The NHRC report says that in Bastar, in last 50 years, approximately 55,000 people have been killed. And that number for Kashmir from 1952 till date is 47,000. But Kashmir was part of the national narrative and international narrative for 3 decades, but nobody talks about Bastar. So when I came to know about this entire thing, when I read it and I went into it, deep dived it, we went to Bastar, we met people. And I met 2 girls who have converted from Naxal. They surrendered and now they are working for the cops. Dantewada force, Danteshwari force. They work for them. So I asked them that if you, and they are the girls, there was a prize money of 5 lakhs on their head because they had actually killed people. So I said, why, what made you change? Why did you come back on this side? They said, after a point, even we could not deal with the kind of brutality that they are operating with.
Did you go to Bastar too?
Yes, I went there and I was fortunate enough to meet the girls who are in the force. I was fortunate enough to go with them into the jungles to see how they train, to be with them and train with them. They told me their stories as well. They carry those heavy backpacks with all the food and everything, that's 8 kilos. Then they put their ammunition here and in between the shoes, and you have to walk really silently even with all that heavy stuff on you, because if you make any noise, crunching of leaves, anyone from anywhere can hear you and you'll be shot. So you have to do all that, but really silently, and sometimes days in the forest, in the jungles, inside without food, water, loo. There's no loo available to you at your so things like that when they shared with me. And we met a girl who was 7 months pregnant and who didn't tell anyone she was 7 months pregnant, so that she could continue doing her duty because she was so committed to it.
When you spoke to these girls, why did they do what they did before they turned over?
The two girls.
The two girls before they turned over.
Yeah, before they turned over.
Because
why did they do what they did?
Because they were promised stuff that they weren't given. They were promised security, they were promised money, they were promised safety, they were promised that someone will do something for them and come on this side because that's the right thing to do. But I mean, fake promises and false promises, and then there was so much violence, so they said that they couldn't see that violence anymore, so they came to this side, even though they know that they'll be hunted down by the other side someday, right? Because
But I'm just asking you, somebody had to fuel this system, no? Fund this system. If this system still operates, somebody is bringing in the money and somebody is patronizing.
No, that's a very interesting question you did. Actually, money is being produced there.
Okay.
You perhaps you know that that Abujamar forest produce more than 8,000 crore worth of tendupatta, which is the which 40% Indian smoke. That out of that 8,000, approximately 17 to 18% of the levy remain with the Maoists there.
Okay.
And that forest, that Abujamar forest has 8 mountains, which is called Bailadila, which is the highest reserve of iron ore in entire Asia. Even we feed Japan and China with our iron ore. Then it has the most precious stones in the mines. When one urban sympathizer of the Maoist been arrested, who is a Delhi University professor, been arrested, within 1 hour, 21 head of the states from Europe to Africa, they are writing letters that Indian human rights situation is at stake. India is the dark spot of the human rights, and our president does not know what to do. So that lady was being given, not taken to the court, and she has been given bail. So these money used to run the whole network of the, and that is the reason our urban intellectuals are so much interested in Bastar. Just imagine, from Bastar, 100 kilometer, there is another forest called Jhabua. Bastar has 82% tribal population. Jhabua has 100% tribal population. Maoists are not there. Maoists are here. From Delhi, 200 kilometer. Above Rishikesh, there is 100% tribal colonies there. There is no Maoist because there is no Tendupatta. There is no iron ore.
The projection or the narrative that has been built is that these are poor people who are fighting against injustice.
Correct.
Now these poor people get the best weapons in the world. How? From where? Where does the money come from? And how are they able to procure so many AK-47s and AK-56 and all kind of guns? They have satellite communication systems. They have got every terrific modern day equipment. How? If they are so poor, who are actually fighting a feudal system that is India, then how are they getting all these things? They are not easy. I mean, if you and me want to get a gun today in India, is it possible? No, but they have it like in abundance.
Let me ask you this. After you did all your research, then did you think twice, do I really want to do this?
no, I was very sure. I was very sure I want to be part of a film that well, speaks the truth and things that we didn't know about in our own country. I love my country, and I'm sure there are so many people who came and watched Kerala Story and openly spoke about how much they loved it and openly spoke about how they want to protect our country.
No, but did you get a sense that you're being ignored, you're being set aside? No, let's not call the Kerala Story people. Let me ask you this.
No, this is a big mystery to me, that when the whole, so there was this very interesting poll that was conducted on internet, where she got 76%
Oh, yeah,
saying
that
the
was
best
really cool,
performance,
huh?
best performance of the year. 76% of the people thought that she's the one and she should get all the awards. But the mystery is that Kerala Story doesn't get a single nomination in any awards. Why?
You may not want to get awards. You may say, all right, I don't want that.
No, to be honest,
But
I love awards and all. I think validation is great from every
Yeah.
place, from the audience first, because you're making the movie for the audience, and from the industry, from everyone. Everyone is people finally, right? You're making the movie for people. I don't select when I make a movie and say it's only for those 3 people. They're not for him. I don't discriminate. I'm very equal to all. My movie is for everybody who wants to see it.
But you
And
get the
if,
feeling
But
that
I-
you've been discriminated against.
No, let me tell you one thing. We all know awards have lost their credibility 20 years back. I mean, there is no mystery that these awards are really, I mean, they are just a television
Yeah,
event.
but then if you get a nomination, you will still celebrate it, right? You may say you.
No, I have stopped going to award functions for last 15
Correct,
years.
but if they said Kerala Story is getting an award, will you say I don't want it?
Uh,
No, you will want
I
it.
have been nominated many times and I have not gone. And then when on the day of the award, that nomination changes to something else. So that's fine. I have no problem. Even Amir Khan has stopped going to the award function. He's said it openly, and many more people have said it openly that these awards have lost their credibility because they are all just made for
Right.
TV events. There is nothing credible left about these awards.
Do you people look at each other and say, are we going to be the only guys making movies with each other?
Not really. Not really.
No,
My
I'm
next
very
film is
sure.
not with Vipul Shah. Vipul Shah's next film is not with me.
And I just did Sunflower season 2, which released
See-
2 weeks back, which wasn't with
So,
them.
so it's not that there is no work or people are not taking you on
No.
because you're
No, no,
doing
no.
subjects like this, because
See,
you're making movies like this.
Vipul sir, I think you consecutively did 4 films with Akshay Kumar.
No, 7.
7 films. So nobody asked that time.
I am a very democratic person, and I believe the lobby also has a democratic right to not work with us. I can't hold grudges against them for not working with me because I am making a certain kind of film.
Correct.
That is their democratic right.
When you're saying stories that actually matter, these are stories that matter, then why should certain people say, we don't want to share stage with that person, we don't want to share screen space with that person, or we don't want, but really, do we really need to? I'm just saying, does that irk you? Does that hurt you? Do you think that's the wrong attitude?
That
to
is
have?
there is a fear in their heart about, you know, people in film industry make, if I will be seen like this, my brand will get affected like this, blah blah blah.
Let me ask you this final question, coming back to the movie. You're essaying a character as an officer who's looking at the home minister in that scene
Yeah.
and saying, let's both of us walk without anybody on the streets of Bastar in a village and let's see who survives. That takes some gumption. What is that character and who are you playing in this movie? Who's that character?
I'm playing Neerja Madhavan. She's brave and fearless and very aspirational. She's someone who I think I would look up to and want to have even half the kind of fearlessness that she has.
But she's a
And,
fictional character based
she's,
on factual.
She's based on a few people, to be
Okay.
honest, who I could meet, some who I could read about, some who like a few of those girls who I met also
Yeah,
say
so it's
the
an
fearlessness-
amalgamation of-
it is of a few
Yeah.
people. And there's an incident that's happened where our 76 Jawans were butchered, where she was desperate and she was begging for backup when she knew something's going to happen, and the Home Minister refused because he said it's night time and I can't today, or after 2 days or so. And she was desperately calling them up and she was unable to save the 76 Jawans, and she's really frustrated and very angry. And like I said, she's someone who's fighting against a whole corrupt system, an entire ecosystem being against her, and it's just her fighting against them. She's really frustrated. Now she has nothing to lose. It's almost at that point, you know, you're sometimes fearful to say things because you think maybe I could lose something, I could mess up. But when you've lost everything and you have only more to lose and nothing to gain, so it's a scene that comes then. It's a long.
So it's a point of no return, and that's when you're tired, you're back to the wall, and then you just want to claw your way out of it.
She's
what's
not clawing her way out. For her, it's every time she loses, she comes back with more power, and every time she loses again, and the opposition is getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Usually in a film, you see when someone's fighting, your hero and your main person fighting, you know, starts getting a little. Here she gets weaker, and because the opposition is getting stronger, and those people are given more arms, and the poor people, the tribals are, there are more atrocities committed towards them. So she's frustrated and very
Okay. Final question. How much of what you've shown is real even today?
100%, sir.
Almost everything. I mean, if you read last 20 days newspaper in Bastar, there have been 4 Jawans were martyred.
Yeah.
1 police officer was killed right outside the police station in broad daylight. 3 BJP politicians were hacked. One of them was hacked with an axe, cut into pieces. That's real story now. And I'm not talking about any political party. I'm just giving you information that I've read, and we keep talking about it on a daily basis. So the violence in Bastar is non-stop and relentless, even today, as we speak. I mean, imagine 10, 12 people have been killed in last 15, 20 days.
15, 20 days. 55,000 in the last 5 decades.
So that is just not stopping.
Right.
That needs to stop. That's the point.
So that's the message of this movie, Bastar. And for those who didn't know, some of the stories that have been shared, the realities of Bastar. Everybody's looking at the spotlight in one direction, whereas something else far more drastic and far more diabolical is happening right in our own backyard, ladies and gentlemen. Think about it. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.